Welcome to Grindelwald, a true gem in the heart of the Swiss Alps. Here, the mountains rise with force, the marmots put on a show, and your legs start burning as soon as the trail begins. Grindelwald looks like a postcard, but here you don't just want to look. You want to climb everything. To the south, peaks straight out of an action movie. To the north, softer ridges for those who like to suffer, but with a smile. The first time I saw Grindelwald was from high on the slopes of the Mittelhorn, a distant view, but already striking. I truly set foot in it later, during my first attempt to climb the Wetterhorn. That was a different story, a different kind of challenge, and a valuable lesson in humility at 3,700 meters. Since then, we've been back, again and again, and with a bit of determination and maybe a touch of obsession, I eventually climbed the Eiger on my own. It was terrifying, unforgettable, and of course, I had the camera rolling. You'll find the video in the description. And while I was at it, I also climbed the Wetterhorn, the Mittelhorn, and the Rosenhorn. That's 3, the full trilogy. No medals though, just legs screaming help. But today, the pace is different. No ropes, no big climbs, just the happy tourist mode. Karen and I are heading out to discover Reeti, one of the most beautiful hikes around here. Less gear, more joy, and most importantly, more picnic time. So lace up your hiking boots, put on your best smile and come with us on this journey. Full of amazing views, climbs that get your heart racing, and memories that will stay with us forever. Let's go! After a night at the campsite, we were ready for a new adventure, reaching the summit of Reeti. This peak has always intrigued me. I remember catching sight of it for the first time during my very first attempt on the Wetterhorn. It stood there, proud, massive, directly across from us, like a silent guardian of the range. That day, I promised myself I'd return. The weather was on our side. Clear blue skies, perfect light. Everything pointed to a beautiful day ahead. We parked the car at Finsteraarhorn. True to our habits, no cable car for us. We set off on foot, the way it should be. Leaving the village means first following a paved road that winds between beautifully kept chalets, the kind you only find in Switzerland, with carved wood, bright geraniums, and a perfection so charming it almost feels unreal. The hike doesn't wait to make itself known. It's steep, straight to the point. Karen's calves are already starting to complain. But after a few hundred meters, the body adjusts, the breathing settles, and the joy of the journey takes over. Little by little, your eyes lift from the trail and start to soak in the surroundings. And that's when the magic begins. We keep hiking, and above our heads, gondolas glide silently across the sky. Some have clearly opted for the more comfortable way to gain elevation, to each their own. Watching them drift past, I think back to the Eiger Express, this ultra-modern cable car that links Grindelwald to the Eiger Glacier station in just a few minutes. A marvel of engineering and an almost ironic contrast when you think of the early alpinists, heavy boots on their feet, pushing up this valley with nothing but muscle and willpower. For the brave, it's entirely possible to hike the Eiger Trail uphill, from the Glacier Canyon all the way to Eiger Glacier Station. It's a demanding hike, but the view of the north face as it reveals itself step by step is worth every drop of sweat. For others, there's a gentler option. Take the cable car up, then hike the trail back down to the canyon. That's the more popular choice. You still get all the scenery, while saving your legs a bit. Either way, it's an unforgettable experience. Walking through these landscapes truly feels like a privilege. The mountains rise all around, majestic and powerful, yet somehow welcoming. Every step in this setting leaves a mark. These are the moments that stay with you. Just yesterday, we soaked up that same atmosphere during a hike to the Gleckstein Hut, perched high above the valley on one of the region's most stunning natural balconies. To get there, we followed the Ispfad Trail, a spectacular route, sometimes dizzying, carved right into the rock and clinging to the mountainside above the void. But rather than describe it myself, I let Karen share a few words.
Yesterday we were over on that side, going around the edge there where that green is, and I tell you I was scared. Because if you start falling down those slopes, hey, there's no stopping.
Let's return to our hike toward Reeti. We've just left behind the paved roads and reinforced trails, the kind that still feel a bit too civilized. And now we're heading up a steep forest path. It winds quietly through the trees.
Lots of steps, and lots of steps.
And leads us toward a charming little mountain inn. The perfect spot to take a short break and recharge. And just as we're catching our breath, a beautiful encounter. The oldest mountain guide in Grindelwald, 93 years old, still standing strong, with a twinkle in his eye and decades of alpine stories behind him. We exchange a few words, a smile, and then it's time to continue. The views remain absolutely breathtaking. We reach a plateau, but then we head off in the wrong direction. Not a big deal. It just means a bit more time to enjoy the natural spectacle all around us.
Filling up, because you need lots of water in this heat. I don't know how many degrees it is today, but it's great when they have these little pipes coming out of the mountain. It's fresh water.
I don't know how they grow up.
What, the pipes?
Yeah.
Well, they've obviously put it into the source, haven't they?
I'm joking.
Oh, you mean grow up as in a pipe? How does
Yeah.
it grow? You put a seed in and then it
Really?
starts growing, yeah, of course. I can cope with this at the moment, but at some point we're going to have to go up again, I'm sure. It's beautiful, look at that. Wow. What scenery we have here, my darling.
Huh?
What scenery, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Gorgeous. You go past.
It's different from Dolomite.
A few hundred meters later, we take a second wrong turn and have to double back again. It's all part of the charm. Soon, we leave the forest behind entirely and begin a long, steady ascent toward the Haireleni Pass. The slope is demanding, the heat starts to press in, despite being over 2,000 meters above sea level. But the panorama keeps rewarding every effort. And then, suddenly, something clicks. The heat, the brightness, the need for shade. It all brings back a vivid memory. Top of Europe. Maybe it's the altitude, or maybe it's the atmosphere, but the memory rushes back. We once took that train, the highest in Europe, which led us straight into one of our most intense and dangerous adventures. Without pushing your limits too far, I highly recommend visiting the top of Europe. Even if you are not used to high alpine terrain, it's absolutely worth it. A true window into another world. As for us, we've faced crevasses, whiteout snowstorms, and biting wind up there. An unforgettable chapter of our journey, and if you're curious, you can watch that adventure through the link in the description. And who knows, maybe you'd be up for something like that one day too. Drop us a comment below and tell us if you'd dare to try it. As my thoughts start to drift, the climb continues. and under this heat, it's not getting any easier. But the higher we go, the more breathtaking the landscape becomes. At every turn, it's overwhelming. I keep thinking how lucky we are to walk through places like this. Places that, for many, exist only in dreams. And even though camera quality has improved dramatically over the years, it still can't fully capture the depth and feeling of these magical spaces. The sense of scale, the silence, the emotion. Some things just don't translate to a screen. We're now at the perfect spot to catch a glimpse of Finsteraarhorn's summit, way off in the distance. Just behind that wall of peaks lies the glacial route we followed over 2 years ago, a memory that still feels sharp and powerful. The heat is pressing, and the idea of stopping soon gives us all the motivation we need to push up to the pass. Finally, we spot the opening that will lead us into a hidden valley, a place we've never seen before. And as always in the mountains, the view is stunning. Alpine green meadows, rugged grey rock, and just a touch of snow on the peaks to make it feel almost unreal. It's the perfect moment to capture the scene from above. Launching the drone adds a whole new dimension to the story, a different perspective that elevates the final video. Just gaining a few dozen meters of altitude reveals hidden details we'd never see from the trail. It's always worth it. Karen, feeling the heat, decides to stay at the pass and wait for me there, while I continue toward the summit of Reeti. She's already planning our route back, with a smile.
And this looks nice over here. Wow, oh look at that. Quite a few people over there. That looks much easier. Can we go back that way? That was a much easier route. But we're not allowed to do easy.
As often happens, I tackle the final stretch to the summit on my own, but this time it's a friendly summit. No climbing, no sheer drops, just a small unmarked trail winding its way up. And strangely, no red or blue trail markers. I'm not sure why. It's a bit of a shame, really. This kind of route could be the perfect introduction for people who aren't too experienced, but want a first taste of alpine terrain. I pick up the pace, treating it almost like a training run. After all, it's a great chance to build endurance for future long-distance races. This year didn't quite end the way I'd hoped, with my failed attempt at completing the infernal Trail des Vosges, a 200-kilometer challenge. The heat got the better of me,
for my head.
but no worries, the goal remains for next time. As I move up the trail, I can't help but wonder what Karen is doing while waiting for me back at the pass.
We can see what there is around. Bob's just over there. I should say to him, well, he does like to do his summits on his own. I think this sandwich is well deserved. A nice mozzarella and tomato, like bap thing. I can't see him at the moment, so he's obviously gone behind that rock.
I don't really know why, but every time I get close to a summit, especially when I'm alone, there's always this strange mix of feelings. It's somewhere between fear and excitement. That final push, with its blend of anticipation and doubt. Today it's definitely the excitement that takes over. The trail stays easy enough, though the last traverse across the loose slope does demand a bit more attention. One bad step on that scree, and it could get interesting, but nothing too serious. Finally, I reach the summit, or at least I think I do. Just beyond, I spot another peak, slightly higher and a bit further away. A little moment of confusion. Am I actually on Reeti, or is this a neighboring summit? There's no direct way to reach the other one. I'll check the map later, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. The view from here is spectacular. Grindelwald truly is a unique place. I leave you now with these images. Just a few quiet moments to take it all in. It's time to head back and catch up with Karen. We still have several kilometers to cover before reaching the car. I start the descent at a good pace, almost running, a great bit of training on the fly. Meanwhile, Karen is busy trying to figure out the best route back.
Just trying to see a path where we need to get on to get back. Seems to be a path down there, but I don't know if you then have to try and cross that river, which might not look very big from here. I think once you get to it, it might be bigger. We need to get down through that valley. So where did you get to?
To the summit.
So quite far away then?
Oh, yeah.
We continue our journey, making our way toward the lakes, the most famous of which is the Bachalpsee. This place is a true magnet for tourists, easily accessible thanks to the cable car up to Grindelwald First. Between these 2 points there isn't much elevation gain, which makes it accessible for just about everyone. The view from here is magical, one of those postcard perfect places. We leave it with a bit of regret, but the day isn't over yet. There's still a long way to go. We follow the valley that leads toward the Waldspitz chalet. Before long, we find ourselves facing Grindelwald First itself. To be honest, it's not really our kind of place. Too built up for our taste. We definitely prefer more natural, untouched landscapes. But still, I decide to grab a few shots with the drone, just to give you a glimpse of this very popular spot. For context, the Eiger Ultra Trail passes right through here. We begin the final descent toward the chalet, and to be honest, we're already picturing ourselves with a cold beer in hand. And with that, our adventure comes to an end. This time we discovered Grindelwald from a different angle, even more beautiful, with those majestic peaks always watching over us in the background. We really hope this video gave you a taste of this incredible place, and maybe even made you want to come see it for yourself. There's something here for everyone, no matter your level or your style of adventure. If you enjoyed the journey, don't forget to like the video, drop us a comment, and of course, subscribe to the channel so you can join us for the next adventure.